This video is sponsored by my favorite website creator, Squarespace, the best place to go when you want to get a domain or create a gorgeous website or an online store. Good morning and happy weekend. Oh, I just had the calmest, super laziest day off yesterday, but seriously, all my calm, lazy mornings off usually look more or less the same. So you guys asked me to take you along, so I filmed a little bit here and there. Recently, I've just been such a need for time off without like a single plan or time to keep. So I've been trying to have one day like that every week that's just like empty. And it's almost like sacred to me now. We're not allowed to like write a single thing in the calendar, David and I. So on Saturday mornings, I really like to go full on cute cliche with the outfit, like the softest materials, but still sort of dressed up, like a little bit elegant. I don't want to feel like I'm in my pajamas all morning. So like white makes everything look a little bit more elegant, don't you think? Even if each piece actually is kind of comfy like a pajamas. We usually spend weekend mornings here in the living room, but on summer mornings, it's so lovely out on the balcony because we have morning sun there, or like all day sun more or less. So this is actually the first London flat that we lived in with a balcony. It feels like kind of like a London unicorn balcony. When we moved in, there was this really nasty, rotten wooden decking out here, so we changed it to beautiful, crisp grey tiles when we renovated. And also one of the biggest changes out here was just like painting the rail white instead of like metal grey. It gives it such like a clean, crisp, fresh feeling. So for indoor design, I love mixing like warm beige with white, but I don't know why, outdoors I much prefer like crisp, cool greys with white. Indoors, I sometimes feel like grey to be a bit sterile or too austere, but outdoors it's just so fresh deluxe, don't you agree? Especially like against green. I think we'll try to fit a tiny table with chairs out here as well, but for now we're just loving these large armchairs, which are Swedish actually, and most importantly, they're big enough to like curl up in. I don't know what it is, but I can't sit with like my feet on the floor. I've always had the need to like curl up one way or the other with my feet up. It just kind of feels unnatural to me, or like you're back in school or something when you sit with your feet on the floor. Are you the same? Maybe that's weird. Every summer, I always get into just having some fruit for breakfast. I told you before that I prefer like many small snacks in the morning instead of like a big breakfast. So I'll just pop into the kitchen now and then and fill up on more fruit and more nuts and some like deliciously Ella cups. Oh, I love those. They have completely become my new obsession since I've stopped with the naked bars. So I'm just like switching one obsession for another. During the other seasons, I'll always have some like hot tea in the morning, but on warm summer mornings, there's nothing like iced tea. I don't actually bother with cold steeping it because who has the time? Instead, I just make like too much hot tea in the afternoon and then I save whatever I don't finish in a bottle in the fridge. I'm not sure about you, but like my palate is definitely not sensitive enough to like have a preference for cold steep tea instead of just chilled hot tea, if that makes sense. I think more or less any tea works as iced, but my favorite is of course sencha with a pinch of matcha, like always. Just pouring it over like a bunch of ice with some lemon. It's a weird as hell flavor, but also so extremely refreshing. Have you ever tried making iced tea at home? What's your favorite type of tea to use if you usually do it? So it will come as no surprise that my early morning hours will be spent reading. So like because I'm an author, I have so many books that I need to read, either for like research or like more often because I get sent books by publisher that they want me to quote on, or like that I need to read because I have an event coming up with another author, for example. So this is one of the strangest aspects of being a novelist, that other publishers and authors want me to read and give quotes on their books. You know, like I have quotes from other authors on mine. It's such a strange feeling having my name in someone else's Amazon page like that. Guys, my name is on Nisha Dolan's latest book's Amazon page. Go take a look. Such a career moment. What's going on? So all this means that I have less time to read books that I've just chosen myself simply because I want to read them without giving like my opinion to anyone or like a specific deadline. So on weekend mornings off, I try to allow myself to read books that aren't like books that I read for work. Usually I have one like contemporary literary fiction book and one classic that I alternate between. Also, I do try to find books that are less, well, brutal or upsetting to read. A lot of classics and literary fiction is so like dark and sad or cynical, and I'm so sensitive that it gets to me quite a lot. So I try finding those like sweet, quiet, sensitive books. I'm always on the lookout, so please tell me your recommendations. And I wonder if this is why translated Japanese fiction has become such a huge thing in the rest of the world, because there is like a tradition of like subtle, quiet literary fiction with huge attention to the prose, but without feeling like too emotionally hard for us sensitive souls, if that makes sense. And like obviously Murakami is the most famous, but I'm thinking of like Banana Yoshimoto and Mieko Kawakami and Sayaka Murata. They're just getting like more and more traction every year. That being said, not all of these books are sweet for the soul. Like Earthlings and Heaven, for example, are really quite disturbing reads, but Convenience Store Woman and Breasts and Eggs are definitely easier for the heart. If you want a classic, which is just beyond beautiful and calming and serene, I'd recommend Kokoro, which is one of my all-time favorite books. I've also just finished reading Yoshimoto's Kitchen, and I really, really love that one, so I would recommend it for sure. Actually, I do think that Japanese and Swedish fiction has similarities in the sort of like quiet, subtle, more calm and serene mood. And I have to say that I do feel quite influenced by Japanese writers in that sense. Like the mood and the atmosphere, and the food and the houses. I'm not sure you can tell when you read my work, but I hope that you get some of that same Japanese serenity and like rich everyday details. That's what I'm aiming for anyway. Have you read OK Days yet, by the way? What I love the most is when one of you tag me or like send me a photo of your reading setup when you're reading my book. It's so extremely cool to see my little novel in your homes or on your holidays or whatever. So please keep them coming. Yeah, I really, really love that stuff. While I'm immersed in my morning reading session, David will sit next to me watching a morning documentary, either like a documentary series or a film. It's so nice because I sit with like my music, he sits with his film, and we can just like pause and interrupt each other with thoughts about what we're reading and watching. So like reading is such a solitary activity, but having him right there, like next to me, so that I can go like, hey, listen to this, and then like read him a passage, is very romantic, even though we're totally both doing our own thing. Hey, maybe you guys are actually looking to get more into documentaries. We should probably ask David. Do you have any tips, David?
Oh yes, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yes, Brian Wilson, Long Promised Road. Joan Didion, The Center Will Not Hold.
Oh, I love that one.
And Roy Andersson, A Human Person?
Something being a human person. Oh, that's my favorite out of all of them. That's my favorite. You should start there. You should start there. I've actually also been super eager to watch 2 other documentaries, David. The Toni Morrison one and the Judy Blume one. Do you want to see them with me? Have you guys seen them? Let me know if they're any good.
Yeah, of course.
Do you want to see them?
Yeah.
So at around 10ish, like 2 hours into reading, we will usually go for a walk, or sometimes we like switch it around and do the walking first. We really like going to like different big London parks. Like we love Battersea Park and Kensington Gardens and Regent's Park, and another favorite is the one that we went to yesterday, Hampstead Heath, which is like more wild than the other ones. It's not so like pedicured. So it kind of makes you feel like you're actually in nature, especially like the northern parts of the park, which is like such a necessary escape from the like concrete and pollution and police sirens of central London. Plus, I mean, like you get like the most spectacular views of London, which you don't get that often since London is so flat. So while London is so beautiful, seriously, I love it so much. I feel so goddamn at home in this gorgeous bastard of a city. Anyway, we like to do like window shopping, but with dogs, if that makes sense. So we look at all the dogs in the park and then we decide which one we most wish was our dog. David always wants like the black Labradors, don't you, David?
Yeah.
Or like the golden retrievers. Like you just want like classic 90s dogs.
Yeah.
Quite nostalgic, isn't it? But then also like Hampstead, like the center, it also feels like such a pretty small town or like village. So we usually go for like a coffee or sneak into a bookshop, maybe buy some ingredients for dinner. And I feel like that's more or less it. Like I don't really need anything else to feel like I spent the most gorgeous day, just like calming my overactive brain after a hectic work week. If I get in a Saturday morning like this with like reading and tea and then a long like 10K walk with David in a green park, it like slows down my brain waves and like sets me up for the rest of the weekend of being calm instead of in like high-speed work mode. So it's kind of like an amuse-bouche to like signal to my mind that like now it's time to take time off. So let's, you know, just chill out. Do you have any like weekend routines or like cute rituals like this that just like sets you right up for a calming day off? Do let me know, and please tell me if you want me to do more like routine or like everyday lifestyle videos. Give me a like if you do, and please subscribe if you haven't yet so that I will see you next week already. Do you want to create a beautiful site, maybe start your own blog? If so, you should definitely do it with Squarespace. Listen to this. With Fluid Engine, a next generation website design system, it's never been easier for you to like unleash your creativity. So you start with like an incredible template and then you customize everything by simply dragging and dropping. It seriously couldn't be easier. Squarespace is also amazing with blogging tools to share your stories, photos and videos to make it easy to reach your audience. And you can also auto-post your content to Twitter, Facebook or Tumblr. They also have great traffic analytics so that you can see how many people are visiting your site and how long they're staying for and where they're coming from and what they're interested in, like lifestyle, fashion or books, for example. So what are you waiting for? Go get your free trial today at squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/JennyMustard to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much for hanging out today, and see you next week. Peace, peace.